Divine Spirit of all love. As you accept the truth that is within, slowly but surely, the illusion breaks apart. It breaks apart through the wanting of it to break apart, to unravel. And it is a beautiful blessing when the distress of the illusion becomes unbearable. When you can't abide the false identity anymore. It's a gift. It's a gift that sometimes I refer to as a squeeze. The acceptance of your divine spirit that is eternal is approached with caution many times, because the unknown is so easily dismissed by the mind that's entire establishment is knowing. Don't be afraid of the squeeze. Let the squeeze be your friend. The relationship with love itself will not leave you without, will not let you be swinging from a branch of a tree on your own. In the truth of love, you are never alone, you are never without. And everything of love wants your remembering. Spirit of love is what you are. And that spirit has no problems to solve and no identity to uphold. The resting in God as the spirit that you are, the resting indicates that you are in trust, that there is nothing that you have to defend, ever. There may be a walking in the world that brings different elements of healing to you, but the bottom line is you are resting in God. That is where your strength is, that is where the truth is, that is where love is, resting in God. Many times in the spiritual journey, love brings beloveds into holy encounters to see what's in the way. And the other beloved can provide that, not consciously, but just with their own journey and their belief system. But there is never an exception to the realization that there is always the offering of love to every beloved. That there is nothing here in this temporary illusion that does not respond to love. It is the healing balm that humanity is waiting for. It's not waiting for proselytizing. It's not waiting for someone who thinks they're right. It's waiting for the beloved with gentleness and kindness and humility that expresses that love in a way that can be accepted. And with each beloved, that love is expressed in a particular way for them. How do we find that way? Through the teachings of the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of love that wants everyone to learn the way of love. It's always here. That love is always here, and it's always available. And it joins with you just with the tiniest thought. I want help. I want to learn the truth. I want to see it differently. Those words, that intention is heard loudly, even if you're just whispering. It speaks. Allow the voice of love, that's that quiet voice, to be heard from within. The quietness is what is asked for. The emptying of the mind is what is needed so that the words of love, the teachings of love can be heard and can be your divine direction. Every moment, the Spirit of love is speaking to your spirit. And even though it may seem that the Spirit of love is separate from your spirit, in truth it is not. You're hearing the truth from within you. Spirit is one. And yet, while the belief of separation lives in the mind, the Spirit of love speaks to the spirit that has not come home quite yet. All of humanity is wanting your sanity. All of humanity is wanting your willingness to speak of love and to offer love. But here in this world, where love has been used as a word, no love has been manifested. Fear is the essence of every beloved, as long as they believe that they are separate from love, separate from the truth. So when you hear anyone that is not at peace, that is your call to bring blessings and peace to them. The power of your heart, the power of your mind is such that it can transform with someone that you might consider to be a stranger or someone that you know in a brief kind of way, and yet they are your beloved. They are one with you and waiting for the sanity that you can provide. Your heart is sane, and your mind given to God is sane. And that sanity holds the truth, the light, the grace of God. In this moment, with the spirit of love filling this sanctuary, we accept the blessings and the teachings for all humanity. There is only one presence here. It is the life force of God. And this sanctuary is filled with love so that the life force of God can manifest by choice here in this moment. We accept the truth of love in all of its capacity. We accept the gentleness of love. We accept the kindness of love. We accept the humility of love. We accept the honesty of love. We accept all that love has to offer. We say yes to the world being transformed out of illusion into love itself. Oh, my Father, give me strength, give me courage on this road, to be a child of yours on earth and tread the path the Master showed. Oh, my Mother, help me love, give me comfort to be aware, to obey these sacred teachings. It was your Son who showed the way. Oh, my Master, your compassion can see through this pain, for it was you who came to earth to release us from these chains. Oh, my Father, I am yours. Give me comfort to be aware. Send your angels here to guide me on this sacred path of the sun. Oh, my Father and my Mother, who rule the world of love, send your angels to receive me through the gateway of pure love. Give me strength, give me courage on this road to obey these sacred teachings. Obedience is not the favorite element of many. Obedience says, I'm no longer in charge. I must turn to the truth of love and to be in clarity and to be in truth. I must obey the sacred teachings. This is This is a place that the ego rails against. Don't tell me I have to obey. Don't tell me what the truth is. And that voice that so wants to be the knower is like Attila the Hun, in the sense that it has no caring at all for you. It has no caring. It can make up all kinds of schemes. It can figure things out. It can rail against following sacred teachings. But it isn't a friend. It isn't a blessing. Its whole intention is, I want to stay alive. And that's the ego speaking. I want to stay in charge. And every time a beloved says, lead me, show me, I will follow, the ego rails. At some point, every beloved recognizes this fiasco that the ego does against love. And at some point, the beloved is able to say, I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to play this game anymore. I want peace. I want happiness. I want love to burst into every heart, through this heart. It can't be happiness or joy that judges. And that's one of the ego's, of course, favorite parts of knowing, is how to judge. And the judging, because it's so upside down, it's held so much in the belief that it has righteousness to it, that judging makes sense. Because when you've done it for 1,000 years, when you've done it for 10,000 years and you've judged everything, you don't recognize the misery. You just think that's just normal. But it isn't normal. Give me comfort to be aware, to obey these sacred teachings, because the heart and the intention really is, I want to come home. I want to remember. I want peace. I want harmony. Or as someone said, I want to get off this merry-go-round once and for all and not play this game anymore. And that is a heavenly place of acceptance. Here comes the sun to heal us. Let's all firm ourselves in the sun and the moon and the stars and the Queen of the Sea. I'm here. I'm already here. And what my Divine Father has asked of me, I am here to affirm. I want to follow. I want to follow the teachings of love. My mother, my father, you are blessing us and giving us your comfort. When I realize that I am with the divine, I can never consider myself dead. This teaching, I can never consider myself dead, was always in my heart, because the truth is that before the spiritual journey began consciously, I did consider myself dead. I felt dead. I felt lost and separate. I wouldn't have said that to anybody. I wouldn't have described myself that way. But deep, deep within, I felt dead. And the purpose of this hymn is to realize that when we're not with God, when we're not consciously with the divine in our natural state, it's like a death, because our heart isn't connected and our mind is split and confused. And all that anybody really wants is peace, to come home to the joy, to the harmony, and to the true life that is your natural state. La ver o sol nos curar, vamos todos y firmar, no son a lua nas estrelas e na rainha do mar. Cheguei, já estou aqui, ninguém queira duvidar. O que meu pai me ordena, eu tenho que afirmar. Meu Pai, vos nos abençoes, nos dando vosso conforto, que eu estando convosco, jamais me considero morto. When I am with you, I cannot consider myself dead. Let the longing for the truth and for the vibration and love of God be all-encompassing in your heart, and trusting that it's guaranteed. It's absolutely guaranteed that you're going to remember. And you rest with that. You rest in love, because thank God, God is in charge. Express magnificence. What is the key to untie the knot of your mind's suffering? What is the esoteric secret to slay the crazed one whom each of us did wed? And who can ruin our hearts and eyes' exquisite tender landscape? Hafiz has found 2 emerald words that restored the I am, that I now cling to as I would sacred tresses of my beloved's hair. Express magnificence. My dear, always express magnificence. What is the key to untie the knot of the mind's suffering? Benevolent intention. Sound and movement, always expressing magnificence in every way. What is the key to untie the knot of your mind's suffering? When we read these words, it has to assume that everyone carries the same suffering. This is a universal teaching that says everyone has a knot to untie in the mind's suffering. If you accept your magnificence, your ordinary magnificence, all bets are off. It's all that God wants of you is to accept your magnificence. But how can you accept your magnificence if you don't know what your magnificence is? If it seems like a stranger? Well, this is the payoff of devotion and obedience. Because it is through the obedience of love to sacred teachings that everything unravels and you find that exquisite magnificence within. And imagine that every beloved, when they remember, they all come to the same, every one of us has come to the same awareness. I need do nothing except follow. Why is it so difficult to follow? Why is it such a battleground for so many to follow? Fear. Fear is the equalizer that the ego uses. The fear says, I have made an agreement through my lifetimes that I am not going to listen to anybody but what's up here. This is my savior. This is my protector. And everybody believes it. And here is God waiting patiently for the fear and the resistance to finally give up and raise the white flag. And there is nothing more exquisite than to have that realization and drop to your knees and say, I surrender. I don't know anything about anything. How could I possibly weave my way to the truth of love through what I think I know? It's beyond possibility. And when you realize that the mind that you have put your faith into is not the mind that is going to bring you back to God, you drop to your knees. Now, there's another element that the ego is battling with the ego, because the ego is always battling with itself. Love never battles, so it's always two pieces of the ego battling with each other. And the ego is saying, don't be a dope. Don't be a dope. Listen to what you have cultivated. Listen to what you know. It's so smart. You've saved your life how many times by using your mind? Except this is a world that you haven't remembered. And God is wanting to take you into the true world of love, where you truly exist, where you live in your reality. Healing is like being on a merry-go-round. When you're on the merry-go-round, at some point, when you see that everything is just going in a circle and you keep coming up with the same ideas and the same defenses, you finally realize, I really do want to get off. At some point, I want to get off. And I want to go the way of love. I want to remember. I want to come home. So what is it that stops? What is the key to untie the knot of your mind's suffering? It is obedience. So here is the teaching of obedience that is so easy to accept. Let us be still an instant and forget all things we ever learned, all thoughts we had. So if it was just this little bit of teaching, let us be still an instant and forget all things we ever learned, all thoughts we had. Is that possible? This teaching says so. Is it possible to forget everything that you've ever learned and all thoughts that you've had? It must be, because it's offered. And there is no lying in the sacred truth of love. All things we have ever learned, all thoughts we've had, and every preconception that we hold of what things mean and what their purpose is. Is this possible? Is this worth the effort? Well, I can guarantee you it is. But it must be accepted. So when you skim over this, how does the ego take this in? And how do you kind of push the ego aside so that you can actually receive it in its grace? Every preconception that we hold of what things mean and what their purpose is. This teaching could keep you occupied for a long, long time, because it has to be brought back into your awareness over and over and over again. At least it did mine. Can I forget all things that I've learned? Absolutely. But the key is, do you want to? Do you want to forget all things that you've learned for the sake of freedom and peace? And can you? You can. But the key is that it's surrendered. I give you all the things that I have learned. I put it into the bonfire of love. I don't want the things that I've learned anymore. I don't want the learning of defense. I don't want the learning of lies. I don't want the learning of a strategy. I don't want to remember and to hold on to how to defend against imagined enemies. I don't want to hold that anymore. And I don't want to hold on to learning that says there is scarcity in the world and I have to be without because I am not worthy of having. All of this is the learning that is so treasured. The learning that leads to all learning of the belief that defense has value, that knowing actually has value. All the things that we've ever learned, all the thoughts we've had, and every preconception that we hold of what things mean and what their purpose is. What is the purpose of the belief of being in control when there is nothing to control? I mean, there's a belief that there is something to control for sure. The belief is that if you are sharp enough and alert enough, you will be in control of your world. This is not even close to being real, because all you have to do is be in a hurricane and you will see how little control there is over anything. It's really realizing that there is nothing that can be controlled in the illusion. Everything shifts and changes all the time. And when your focus is on the illusion of trying to control it, this is where all the frustration and all the resentment and all the anger comes from, because it can't be controlled. And then you find out that there is nothing really that can be controlled. Certainly time doesn't get controlled. Time keeps shifting and moving and everything changes, but it doesn't mean anything. So where is your peace? Let us remember not our own ideas of what the world is for. So again, here is love saying, surrender all of your concepts of the world. Let us remember not our own ideas of what the world is for. Well, there's only one purpose of the world, and that's to remember love. Now, if you made a list from each beloved of what their purpose was, of their own ideas, they would have a lot of different meanings. But they're all temporary, and they really don't mean anything. They're made up in the mind, and they weren't made with the mind of God. They're made with the mind of fear. So at the root of all thoughts is fear, because the belief is that death is real, that you can be hurt, that there is danger, that you're susceptible to other judgments or opinions or whatever. It's all made up. And here is love saying, let us remember not our own ideas of what the world is for. We do not know. Yikes. We don't know. What now? We don't know. Where are we going to get this information? Is there a direct line that is going to give us the information that we need? No. Because we have to walk through that not knowing and open ourselves to the grace of God that will lead you in every moment, in love rather than in battle, which is what the world has been used to. Let every image held of everyone be loosened from our minds and swept away. Images. Let every image held of everyone. Now, it doesn't have a caveat at the side that says, except for these people. These people you keep an identity in the world with. No, it means the beloved who collects the garbage, no opinion, just the truth of love. The beloveds who work in all different places in town, all of them, the light of God, don't know anything else about them, have no opinion. Family of origin, who are they? And what was the purpose? And what if you are being asked to let every image held of everyone be loosened from the mind and swept away? Swept away. I don't know who you are. I've lost hold of that false identity. So is God going to give me a clear awareness of who these beloveds really are? Yes. Yes. But the main thing is that every single beloved is exactly the same. They're all the light of God. And without their personal identity that you've given them, because here's the most amazing thing about identities, is that they have 10,000 different identities for each one beloved. There's 10,000 different identities. They have a separate identity of themselves. Everyone that they know or have ever known in all lifetimes have separate identities of their belief of who they are. 10,000 identities. None of them the same. One holding one as good at this, good at that. I like this. This is an important part that I like. I want them to keep that part. Instead of, I am holding them prisoner. I am holding them prisoner as in this little tiny identity, and I want them to stay right here on my table as that little identity. It's important to me that they stay as an identity. I like to reference back to them every once in a while and say, hey, still in that identity? Okay, I know where you are then. I can hold on to you this way. And love is calling, asking everyone to let go of these identities. Let every image held of everyone be loosened from our minds and swept away. Does that mean that you will no longer have this incredible relationship of whatever you think it is? Well, the incredible relationship may not be there because it was based on an opinion and an idea. But when it is swept away, what you end up with is the divine. You end up seeing the light of God in this beloved, and it is brilliant. It's brilliant. They're perfect. They're the light of God. And now you have no identity to gnaw on and roll around in your mind of either how you think that you could improve them or how they should be different so that you can be undefended with them or defended with them or whatever the game is. Swept away and set free. Let every image held of everyone be loosened from our minds and swept away, be innocent of judgment. Innocent. Nothing to judge. No opinion about any of these beloveds, even the one that's sitting here on the table. No opinions about them anymore. They are freed from your mind of limitation and separation. And I can guarantee that every single one that's being let go has a story that goes with it that isn't the truth of them. Not at all. Will you be without? Because that's the question, that's the ego saying, I'm not letting go. So do you believe that you would be without if you were able to see and embrace the beauty of God's creation in that beloved, to see them for real, to see them in reality as they truly are. Be innocent of judgment, unaware of any thoughts of evil or of good. No thoughts of evil or of good. Now what do? I got my little friend over here. But this little friend was, I had stuff written about this beloved friend here that I want to keep in their identity, because it proved I was right. Their personalities, their behaviors, all of that proved that I was right, because I saw them. I judged them, and I pretty well held them as limited. But now God is saying, please, your mind is not sane. Please join me in my mind. Join me in the mind of love, and bring all of these relationships to that love so that they can all be set free. Now, do you know him not? In that letting go of judgment, in that letting go of evil or of good. So what happens to a beloved that is no longer evil, but also not that there is an opposite of that they have to be good, but that they are the light of God? Can you let go of the judgments of what you believe their behavior has been, or what you believe their relationship has been to you? But you are now realizing you don't know him, and that you are free to learn of him, learn of her, and learn of him anew, brand new, no past going with it. Right here, right now, every beloved, no story, nothing to hold on to. Is there a loss? Absolutely not. The brilliance of every beloved is so brilliant, it's so magnificent, it's so perfect, that you bask with them in the light that you see in them. Because that light is reflective of your own light. And by seeing the truth of them, you have the opportunity of seeing more of the truth of you, because you're one. So every beloved that you are willing to set free becomes your savior, because of the reflection, and it's perfect. So let us be still an instant and forget all things we've ever learned, and all thoughts that we've had, and every preconception that we hold of what things mean and what their purpose is. Let us remember not our own ideas of what the world is for. We do not know. Let every image held of everyone be loosened from our minds and swept away. Take it away. I made it up. I don't know who they are. I made it up. I cannot hold them prisoners anymore. We do not know them. Let every image held of everyone be loosened from our minds and swept away. Be innocent of judgment, unaware of any thoughts of evil or of good that have ever crossed our minds of everyone. Now do you know him not? And you are free to learn of him and learn of him anew. Every beloved, not male or female, the beloved. One heart, one truth, and this is the easy road, just following and aligning with what is being asked. The most important element of this is that when we don't follow the teachings of love, what the ego is basically saying is that God is not the intelligence of the universe. That these teachings didn't come here to help or to guide and to uncurl all of the false identities. Love is giving everything. And yet love stands in light, and the ego mind says, I do things my way. I think my own thoughts. I figure things out myself. Well, if you spend enough years in pain and suffering, that doesn't fly for very long. I do things my way. Yeah, I did things my way. And it was pretty shoddy. Not anybody would want to live that life. So why would I not trust in God as the wisdom of the universe, that the entire wisdom of the universe is in balance and harmony? And can't that wisdom really direct me home? Yes. Yes, that's where my faith was. Direct me home. And I don't know anything. Only be quiet. You will need no rule but this. Only be quiet. To let your practicing today lift you above the thinking of the world. To let your practicing today lift you above the thinking of the world. When you take your mind and you pull it out from the thinking of the world, the agreements. So what is the agreement? The agreement is I must defend myself. I must know. I must be in control. And this is only be quiet. Only be quiet. Yeah, but I know what they're doing. I know what they're thinking. I know what this means. I know what it should be like. I know. Not making the connection that knowing is painful. Yeah, I know it's painful. But hey, it's what I know. Only be quiet. You will need no rule but this, to let your practicing today lift you above the thinking of the world and free your vision from the body's eyes. Only be still and listen. Yeah, but I have another idea. I'll listen to this and I'll consider it, but I don't like somebody telling me to be quiet. I don't like having to listen. I know more than that. Yeah, only be quiet. Only be still and listen. Can I follow? Can I be the obedient child that I've never known before? Yes. If I want to come home, yes. If I want to be free, yes. If I want to set others free, yes. Simply do this. Be still and lay aside all thoughts of what you are and what God is. Simply do this, be still, and lay aside all thoughts of what you are and what God is. Well, this is starting to sound familiar. Like the same teaching keeps coming over and over and over again, and it goes just totally against my way. It's not really true. Didn't go against my way enough because I followed. And I followed because it couldn't be that I was the sharpest tack in the street. There was no way that this intelligence was going to compete with the intelligence of God or know anything about healing. No way. The mysteries of the universe were enough that one lightning bolt and I'd be toast. I was listening. For the first time in my life, I was listening and trusting and accepting and obeying. And yes, this identity said, I am never going to obey again. But one day with the blessings of sacred teachings was enough for me to know that I had entered into another world that was going to take me home. That was enough. All concepts that you have learned about the world, all images you hold about yourself, let go. Empty your mind of everything it thinks is either true or false or good or bad. Is this possible? Yes. To realize that all day long there is a good or bad meter going on in everyone. The meter says, I like this, I don't like this is good, this is not good, I agree, I don't agree. But it's the insanity of the mind that is agreeing or disagreeing and make, except to empty it. It means nothing when it's agreed with. You're agreeing with illusion, believing that it has validity. Empty your mind of everything it thinks is either true or false or good or bad, of every thought it judges worthy. Now that's not a teaching that you see too often, of every judgment, of every thought that it judges worthy. So where in our system of incarnation do we come to this place that we think that we're judging something as worthy? How is it that we're judging something as worthy or not worthy? It makes no sense, really. Where did we come up with the information? Where did we get the idea that it meant something? Why wouldn't we ask the wisdom of the universe what has reality and what is illusion? That we would leave that up to the divine to open our hearts, clear our minds, give our mind back to God, and have only love in our hearts and our minds. Because that's our natural state, completely. There's nothing else, just love. Love, love, love. Of every thought it judges worthy, and all the ideas of which it is ashamed. So now it's speaking to dumping all of the secrets that we've all carried. What are the secrets that we've all carried? I could list, they're not secrets anymore, but I could list them. Stealing, thoughts of murder, wanting to run away, hatred, greed, jealousy, having fantasies about somebody failing so that I would feel better, on and on and on. Jealousies of wanting ownership, wanting to prove worth, believing that everyone had things that I didn't have. The list just goes on and on and on. And when you look at the list, it's like, well, what was the redeeming value of that mind? Basically nothing. Because every thought was a manipulation. Every thought was, how do I get what it is that I want? How do I hold on to others that I want to hold on to? And I want their loyalty. I want their adoration. I want their love. I want their recognition of my worth. Is this not insane? This is insane. I think it could qualify. It does qualify. It's insane to take everyone that I ever knew and see, okay, what is it that I need to get from them? I need to get stuff from them because there isn't enough here, and they've got stuff that I don't have. I want them to adore me, and then that way I will feel loved. Except in all those thousands of years, there never was any love. It didn't matter how I could manipulate anybody, how maybe I could convince them through guilt to stay with me, to like me, to love me. It was all made up. And it was all held in guilt and shame and self-attack. Secrets of all the ideas of which it is ashamed, hold on to nothing. Where is the examination of this? Because there is an examination. It isn't a step up to the plate and dump your lies in public, but half the time it was in public. But it was dump it all. Dump it all because it is made up. It's not even worth the word crap because it's just made up. It's illusion. It has no value. I was in fantasy. I was in ideas. I was in made up stories based on what I thought I knew. And the righteous hatred. The belief that someone damages your being is your justification for retaliation, for not allowing them into your heart. I had to give it all, and to realize that it had no worth. It wasn't that I didn't have worth. It was that all the thoughts and all of the images and all of the ideas were worthless. They weren't of God. They weren't of love. And that honesty is not, it's not readily available. The honesty is something that you have to really want. You have to really want that honesty. And this is where I would go into the closet with God. Into the closet with God, into this little space that I would confess to God all of the lies that I had carried and forgive myself for all of them, because they were all mistaken identities. I was distorted. I was insane. I was upside down. But the wisdom of God has no judgment, sees nothing of the distortions and the lies that I carried. So I was free almost before I could even utter those words. I forgive myself for having believed that I needed to hold others as wrong and bad and less in order to feel better. Hold on to nothing. Do not bring with you one thought that the past has taught. Not one thought that the past has thought before from anything. One thought. Well, geez, if I'm not bringing one thought, I got a book of upside down thoughts, upside down beliefs, upside down experiences, forgiving them all because they had nothing to do with anybody else. They were not caused by anybody else. They were in this mind and holding everyone that I knew prisoner in the belief of wrongdoing. And the freedom comes with the realization, I don't have to hold this anymore. I can be free of these lies. But they have to be seen as lies. They have to be seen as unwanted in order to surrender them. And at the same time, while you're letting go of the past, it's on faith that you're saying yes to God. It's on faith because you don't remember being with God. I didn't remember being with God. I went on faith. I went on all the teachings that said, you are loved and there is no judgment in God. And so there can't be a judgment in you. And it must be that you forgive yourself for the lies that you made up. Was I evil compared to the rest of the world? No. No, I was mistaken. I was insane. I was upside down. But I wasn't different. I wasn't more lost, more insane. It was just the same as everybody. When I read the teaching that says, you think you are the home of evil, you think you are the home of horribleness, and you think if anybody would see the truth of you, they would be so repelled by you that you would kill yourself at your own hand because living on after being exposed would be something that I couldn't do. When I read that teaching, it was so right on. It was so exactly truthful. And then as soon as I saw the truthfulness of it, I realized, wow, this is a universal teaching. This means that everybody carries the same beliefs. Everyone in the universe carries the same beliefs of believing that they are evil and without love and should die. Everyone carries that. So it means it's all made up, but everyone carries it. And all of a sudden there was this deep awareness of compassion, that I had been so narcissistic in my pain that I thought this pain was like the worst pain that there was. It was all narcissism. And all of a sudden, it's the entire universe is in pain and wanting to die at their own hand, because living on after seeing what they thought that they were, they couldn't do so. And I never saw anyone again the same. I never saw anyone again in some kind of separation, that I was this and they were that. No. It was the realization that everybody was walking through the same pain. It was not misery loves company. It was the awareness that the ego mind really was insane. To make an insane world of insane agreements of separation. And that everybody was in their own pain, of their own insanity, of their own mind. And for this teaching to be offered, it also had to, for me, it had to be that the intelligence of the universe, the wisdom of the universe, could see exactly what was going on and yet still didn't judge it, but offered the light and the healing that was needed for the coming home, to be free of this insanity and to recognize it as insanity, as what it is. Do not bring with you one thought the past has taught, nor one belief you have ever learned before from anything. From anything. Forget this world. Forget this course. Forget all the teachings. And come wholly empty onto God. Come empty. That isn't asking that much, to come empty. It's not like you have to prove anything. You just have to come empty. Just leave the stuff in the basket where it belongs so it can be burned up, because it doesn't mean anything. The willingness to be free, the willingness to be still and lay aside all thoughts of what you are and what God is. Come empty onto God. Does everyone need to have that honesty of seeing what it is that you've made up in the past? Yes. Yes, it's not because it needs to be that you repent. It isn't that at all. But you can't bring it with you. And if there's a game of denial being played, you can't heal. The game of denial is, I believe it's real and I'm going to hide it. I'm going to pretend and hold on to this facade and keep pretending like I pretended in the past. How insane is that? There is nothing that anyone has ever done, nothing Absolutely nothing that anyone has ever done that means anything, that can be judged. It's unloving. It was hatred. It was fear. But that's all illusion. That's not the truth. That's the made up ideas of the mind that have made a separate story for each one. I said to a beloved in a session not very long ago that I believed I had a black mark on my soul, that I truly believed it, that I was beyond the capability of healing. That black mark was made up in this mind of insanity. There is no black mark. There is no condemnation. There is nothing that can't be healed. But because we made it up, we have to surrender it. We can't be rescued because the game of rescue comes from the child that believes that they were the victim and that they deserve to be rescued because they've done nothing. So, and that beloved who thinks they've done nothing has no connection to the thought system that they carry, the judgments, the condemnations that we all have walked with. And yet, it has to be forgiven because it has to be brought to the light. It has to be brought to sanity of truth. And there's nothing more beautiful than I made it up. I made it all up. I was mistaken and I made it up. I believed that God was either non-existent or uncaring. I believed in the identity. I believed in scarcity. I believed in battle. I believed in trying to control. It goes on and on and on. It's all insane. And here is God's love. Let us be still an instant and forget all things that we've learned. It is an unlearning. And it is your healing. It is your participation in the healing. Don't be shy. Don't be shy to God's love. When a teaching says, simply do this, be still and lay aside all thoughts of what you are and what God is. Why is it that it says of what you are and what God is? Because the distortion is on God too. The projection of fear is put on God. And other gods are made as substitutes. The other gods that are made of substitute are relationships that are elevated to a place that have no truth to them. The belief of ownership, you owe me. You owe me and I own you. I own you. These are all the lies of God. Surrender everything that you think of what you are and what God is. It's not a burden and it's not a difficulty. When you want to see what's in the way, the Holy Spirit will actually show it to you. Just don't take it as identity. It's not. It's a mistake. But it has to be brought to the light. The heaviness, the weight that each beloved carries that feels like suitcases from the past. Can you leave them at the door? Yes. And you can put a list with it and say, here's what's in the suitcase. I don't want this anymore. I don't want to carry this around anymore. I don't want to believe this anymore. It's lies. Just lies. Do not bring with you one thought that the past has taught, nor one belief you ever learned before from anything. Forget this world. Forgetting this world means the illusion of this world, the temporary illusion of this world is hiding. Just beyond it, everything is of love. Within every tree is the spirit of love. Within every blade of grass is the spirit of love. It's the intelligence of God within everything. It's not the blade of grass that dies. You can mow that. It's not going to stay. But the divine being of love is there. Every single element, all of the sentient beings, all of cats, dogs, animals, all of them, sacred spirit beings are within that form. Let God teach you. Let yourself open to the light and the teachings of love that want to teach you the mysteries of the universe. That's why these teachings say, empty yourself so that you can receive this divine wisdom that is natural of your being. You are the creation of God, and all of creation is within you. Nothing is missing. When you believe that somebody has something of a body that they are different than you, you will believe that you are missing something, that they have something that you don't have because you see a difference. There are no differences. There's only love and the willingness to accept that. Only be still and listen. These sacred teachings keep coming to you, keep whispering to you until you're finally ready. And if you're ready, just drink it in wholeheartedly and follow. Follow the way of love and express your magnificence in the truth of love. What is the key to untie the knot of your mind's suffering? Here is Hafiz in the year 400 talking about untying the knot of your mind's suffering. And here is the teaching about untying the knot of your mind's suffering. It's all the same. It's just the resistance that holds the key. Don't allow the resistance. It's not your friend. And it's not helping you to find that exquisite peace and love and harmony that you truly are. That is all that there truly is. Your perfection, your light, the truth of God. Do not bring with you one thought. Empty. God will tell you everything that is real.